Howdy y'all, and welcome to Texas for the American Grand Prix, where Team USA, Team Haas, will be flying the Star-Spangled Banner and representing the Stars and Stripes. And with their Australian team boss and Danish lead driver, they're as American as apple pie. Hi guys, I'm Aussie Villain and welcome back to Kicking Haas. Today it is our home race, the American Grand Prix at the Circuit of the Americas, of course, in Austin, Texas. And, well, I don't really know how it's a track with a bit of everything, isn't it? So I'm not completely sure how the car's going to go, but that's a good thing. It will surprise ourselves, hopefully. Now, a few things to catch you up on that have happened. There's been a little bit of a break since the last race in Japan. Now, a couple of things I say to catch you up on. The first one is the Tour Center has been upgraded. So that is now... well, let's just go here. It's easier to see everything. So that is now costing us 16 grand a month to upkeep, but it's bringing in 28 grand a week. So weekly income, monthly upkeep, and yeah, and that is obviously well worth doing. And I wonder if we go the whole hog here, $500,000. We've got 20 million in the bank. We can probably afford it. So yeah, we'll do that, and then that's kind of done then, and we can wash our hands of it. Now the other thing is in relation to the car. And that is here that our front wing research has been completed. We're currently still doing the rear wing. 20 days or so's time, about 3 weeks time, we get the new update of the research time. So then we'll probably do front wing again and underfloor, because they seem to be the most important things. But you can see that the research that has been done there. Hopefully we'll have a very good car when we hit the ground to start next season. Now, drivers, we do have some development points. We have just the main one here for K-Mag. I mean, we know that he tends to lock up a lot. Braking is apparently one of his strengths, though. All right, what's his weakness? His defending position. So let's add it into that. Yeah, I mean, maybe reactions, we could get that up to 80. But, I mean, he's average gross potential at this point, so he's not going to get that much faster. We might, I think, be in a position to try and make him as good at defending what he has rather than looking to go particularly forward. Staff, we are continuing to scout for a new race engineer. Our head of aerodynamics has a development point here, though. So what is his low point? It is DRS Delta and high-speed downforce. Well, we'll do them both over time. So that is him, and anybody else there? No. So yeah, Gary Gannon will be leaving. He's just not rated high enough, and so we're scouting for replacements, and we'll sort of get to that as we get into the off season once his contract is expired. So that is pretty much everything off the track. Let's go and have a look at the race. We are expecting a wet Friday and a wet race. So that's going to make things interesting for us. Let's have a look here at the circuit. You can see all the ins and outs there. The circuit map, the sectors for qualifying. We've got a red first sector, blue second sector, and yellow final sector. I think that's the right way, isn't it? Yeah. Then we've got the sections by speed. You can see it has a little bit of everything. It's got sort of the red traction zones, the fast sweeping corners, the changes of direction. It really does have everything. It's a very good track. I like it. So I don't really know, as I say, how our car's going to stack up. We need a well-rounded car, and I think we have a fairly well-rounded car, so hopefully it'll work for us. And we've got the expected strategies there. So we are expecting a two-stop, which makes me think I should probably try and save a set of medium tires in practice, or do we want to do the soft, medium, hard? Except we probably do medium, soft, no, medium, hard, then soft at the end, I would think. But yeah, it looks like it's a two-stop, although it's wet, isn't it? I just said it was going to be wet, so it doesn't really matter what we save. But there we go. That is everything there. We'll go and have a look at our performance targets here. Qualifying position of 12th. We should be able to get, we should be able to reach Q2 with one car. And let's go and try and reach Q3 as well. K-Mag's usually fairly consistent. A finishing position in the top 12, I'd like to think we can do that. And we've got to get one car in the top 14 this race to get our money for that one, and a finishing streak of one car in the top 14 for 2 races. We should be able to do that, so we'll add that in there as well. All right, let's head off to Austin. So confirmation of the weather: light rain today for practice. It should be a dry qualifying and then moderate rain through the race. That suggests it might be one of those where you have to go back and forth between wet and intermediate tires, which means I'm going to have to pay attention, which means going to have to finish my coffee here, aren't I? So I'm going to do free practice, and I'll see you back for qualifying 1. Okay, so practice is done, and it was, I don't know what it's like, to be honest. We'll have a look at the results here. FP1, you can see there are a few penalties. We had K-Mag up there in 7th, which was really good. We had Sargeant down here in 18th, but you'll notice his time is set on a hard tyre, so, you know, that's not the end of the world. FP2 was a little bit better. K-Mag in the medium tyre was 8th. Sargeant soft tyre, which is a little bit worrying, only 13th. And then if we go to FP3, now both cars crashed out. Now, I'm assuming we have enough spare parts to make both cars. I don't think we do have. I think we had 4 chassis coming into this weekend. We now are going to have basically 2. If there's another crash in qualifying, then we'll have to emergency build one. I think you can do that. But you can see 14th and 16th. It's a little worrying. But if we go and have a quick look here at the setups now, thankfully, Logan Sargeant already had his setup nailed to 100% perfect. K-Mag, not so much. He was mid-setup, and, well, I don't actually know exactly how this is going to go for him. So it looks as though it's fairly good, though. So we'll just hope that, you know, he'll get it together in qualifying and do a decent result for us. So I'm not sure how we're going to go here, but let's hope we can get out of Q1. All right, we are joined by the head of mousing at the factory, Gus, for qualifying here. Now, you'll notice that we are struggling. Sargeant in P18 and Magnussen only in P15. So we are in a little bit of trouble here. There is a chance, it was difficult to tell, but they both may have got held up by cars coming out of the pits on their out laps as we were sort of coming into this sort of twisty section over here on our hot lap. So I'm hoping that's the reason that we are where we are here. Sargeant might have been a bit of a long shot to get through the session anyway. What I'm hoping is that K-Mag did actually get blocked. They've both done a green first sector. I'm wondering here now it's powertrain issues, which we might just have to sort of suck up between now and the end of the season. Checkered flag is out. Oh, it doesn't look the fastest lap from Sargeant, does it? But let's see what his second sector time is. It's somewhere down this back straight, isn't it? But as things are shaping up, not a fantastic home race in terms of qualifying. Will the rain be able to save us? That may well be what we have to hope for here. Stroll has not overtaken Magnussen, so that's positive. If Vettel can politely do the same thing, both our guys have done a green middle sector, then we might yet find ourselves getting out of this session. K-Mag is going faster, so that is positive. Where's Vettel? Vettel's about to cross the line now. He finishes. He goes ahead of Magnussen, so Magnussen needs to go faster, or else we are going to have a double Q1 elimination. That's so annoying, isn't it? Alright, here we go. Sargeant coming across the line. What sort of time has he done? Can he get ahead of Sebastian Vettel? No. So Sargeant is out. Magnussen is through. So there we go. Confirmation of Sargeant's elimination in Q1. Only 17th. We might look to take penalties for him on the grid. You can see a couple of the front runners there have taken penalties. But, yeah, if we're going to be at the back anyway, we'll have to have a look at how much engine stuff and whatnot he has. But let's go to Q2 now. It's all about K-Mag, so let's hope he can put in a performance here for us. Alright, here we go with K-Mag. He's currently 13th. Now, George Russell is stuck in the fence. He is out of qualifying. Our first lap was done on a set of used tyres, so we need about 3/10, assuming that Alonso doesn't go faster, which he is in the first sector. We are last car on track again. Gus has been called away to mousing emergency at the factory, so he won't be joining us for this part of qualifying, unfortunately. And we'll see what we can do here. It is a little bit of a longer lap, so we'll maybe go double speed here and not dwell this out any longer than it needs to, because I've got a feeling we don't quite have the pace in the dry here to be getting ourselves into Q3. Now, of course, K-Mag didn't help himself by crashing in qualifying and not getting his setup nailed, so it's his own fault, really. It's got no one to blame but himself. But he's obviously put himself on the back foot. Gives a green middle sector. Let's see what he can do. Sonoda has already crossed the line, so he's not going to be any worse than 13th. Can he, in fact, though, move himself up a little bit higher? It would be nice. There's some penalties in front of him as well, which he could take advantage of. And K-Mag has stayed 13th. So K-Mag eliminated in Q2. There's no other way to say that other than a disappointing qualifying from us. We weren't a mile away from Guan Yu Zhou ahead of us. And perhaps the most worrying thing here, AlphaTauri behind us in the championship have Gasly up there really, really quick in 5th place. So with penalties to come in with some of those bigger teams as well, he could be starting 3rd in this race. And that is not where we want him to finish. Or it might be game back on for that championship 6th spot. So we are expecting a wet race. Are we going to be starting the race wet? No. Okay, so Sargeant is starting 15th. He needs a new engine. He's got an engine that is not too bad. So let's stick that in the... It's a wet race, isn't it? You know what? It's a wet race. It's going to be as much about strategy as anything else. So we'll stick a new engine in his car. And that'll get him through to the end then. And that's going to put him at the back. So we might as well just load up with everything. Although he probably doesn't need a new ERS. That should get him to the end of the season, shouldn't it? And a gearbox. He may need another gearbox. You know what? We're not that concerned about money. So we'll just get a new ERS. And then we know he can get to the end of the season without taking any more penalties. And yeah, like I say, if he's starting at the back anyway, that doesn't really matter. And K-Mag... Do we have a new engine we can stick in his car? We don't. He's going to need to take a penalty at some point here, isn't he? Let's not do it here, though. It's our home race. We want to try and put in a decent performance, so we won't do it here. Let's have a look at strategy options. The rain is coming around here somewhere. So it's going to be... that's probably inters, isn't it? Then we'll go to wets, and then dries at the end. It's going to be an interesting race. All right, let me have a think about this. Alright, so I'm thinking this is something like what it's going to look like. If we look at the track conditions, the thing I'm not sure about is between, so was that lap, let's say 18 and lap 23, it's possibly intermediates, but if we stick wets on, are we going to save ourselves a pit stop and win out? Then we're going to go to wets. But then the other question is, if it's going to go back to intermediates, are we better off just staying on intermediates and hoping, and then we are going to have to go to wets at some points, I would imagine, and then possibly go inters and then dries. It's going to be a difficult race to call, but you can see here if we go medium, wet, inter, and then dry, it might work out. It's going to be a little bit of just seeing what everybody else is doing and playing it by ear. So this is going to be an interesting race strategy-wise. We'll set something similar up for K-Mag, and we'll get out there. All right, and here we go. Ferrari all on the front row. It doesn't look like Gasly qualified too well. Bottas in 3rd, Norris 4th, and Gasly in 5th. Let's jump on board here with Sargeant, who didn't actually start last despite the penalties. He's still ahead of Albon. He does have Perez in front of him, and if he can maybe sort of duck in behind him and try and follow him through, it might work out okay. Now, I'm seeing some soft tyres there, which is silly because the medium is only just going to get to the expected rain. A soft tyre, I'm going to say, is no chance. Particularly Science, whose tyre has obviously done qualifying and is already a little off. We should be probably deploying and trying to go as fast as we can for these opening laps. I've kind of fallen asleep there, haven't I, and let Russell get past Magnussen. But hopefully that's not going to cost us too much. It's a jumbled up field, isn't it, which is always interesting. A wet race to come as well. Very, very... So if this was a race on, it was actually live on TV, I would be absolutely wetting myself with excitement at this one. But let's hope... well, of course, we know the rain's coming. It's a game. We don't know exactly when it's coming, but we know it is going to come. And more or less, you'd know that in real life. But I always find the problem a little bit is there's a yellow flag in Sector 2, and Tsunoda is dropping down, perhaps unsurprisingly. Competitor crash. Are we going to get a safety car for that? It doesn't look like we are. I always feel like in real life they build up the rain too much, because obviously they want you to keep watching. I don't understand why they do it, but I just wish they'd understand. For me personally, I'm going to watch anyway. Don't give me hope that it's going to rain if it's not going to rain. So Tsunoda in the pits, that's going to absolutely destroy his race. He's going to need a safety car at some point, or some very interesting weather strategies, as K-Mag is doing his best to get by Russell. But I think this race is going to be decided a little bit later on. So let's jump out here and just try and get to this rain. So 4 minutes, moderate rain. Now the issue is, do we put wet tyres on or do we put intermediate tyres on? There's the rain. I'm going to split it, I think, because I don't know what to do. So I think what I might do is we'll put Sargeant. I think the right thing to do is to put wets on. So I'm going to put, but I'm not sure, obviously. So we're going to put Sargeant on intermediates, and we'll call K-Mag in and put him on wets. Yeah, I mean, the part of me thinks this is the right thing to do because someone's going to get it right, but the other part of me thinks, but I'm guaranteeing someone gets it wrong as well. And that, I don't like that. Can we have another look at the weather? Let's see if I get any sort of inspiration track. The problem is that you don't know exactly. I'm thinking that is, this is my logic, that is right on the margin between wet and inters. So it's going to go to wets and then stay wets. But I'm not 100% sure if in that time you on the right tyre you might make up enough to sort of cancel out and get a pit stop. So I'll stick with this. We'll double stack. There's 2.8 seconds between the two cars, which is not quite enough for a pit stop, but I think it's more, you know, say he loses a second, Sargeant, while he's waiting. He might actually even lose that. I still think that is going to be quicker for him than doing an extra lap. So K-Mag comes in. We are the first to stop, and the track is just about to go wet. So I don't regret coming in this lap. What we might regret, as we can see there, the gap in front to K-Mag. Now what we don't need here is for Magnussen's pit stop to go horribly wrong, and then it could ruin both our races here. Vettel has come in as well. It'll be interesting to see what sort of... that was a pretty quick stop, wasn't it? 3.1 and 3.3. So he really didn't lose that much at all. So the one thing that we know with Sargeant is that he needs to push on here, because we know he is going to have to come in, because at some point we're going to have wet weather. Oh, so we're going to have to go to wet tyres, I should say. So let's try and push him on a little bit. K-Mag is on the wrong tyre for now, but hopefully the right tyre moving forward. Now, what sort of tyre did Vettel go on? Just out of curiosity, he went onto an Inter as well. Let's see what everybody else does. So Sargeant has overtaken Magnussen. Everybody else is coming out on Inters. So we're putting a lot of faith in the fact that it is going to go to full wet. And if it does, we might have put off a little bit of a masterstroke with K-Mag, but if it doesn't, and the thing is too, is he going to have lost too much time in the meantime? Oh, wet races are always tough, aren't they? But Sargeant is currently up there in 9th and 10th. And Sargeant has now locked up. Oh, Sargeant, you muppet. Come on, man. K-Mag is going backwards. Multiple cars have crashed. Now, if we can get a safety car here, that might... That's a Haas. What's happened here? So he's locked up. Oh, okay, so Sargeant, that's been a little bit more serious than we perhaps realised with Sargeant. And he's got a time penalty as well. Well, that's a bit annoying. Now, do we... It's not worked for K-Mag, has it? Do we bite the bullet now, or do we just kind of ride this horse? It is going to get wetter. I think wet tyres are going to be needed. So I do think it's worth sticking out with it, but it's not working for K-Mag just now. And in fact, he's going almost to the back. And he is losing, and the track is now dry. Okay, so it's not worked. It's not. I don't think it's ever going to actually get to full wet. If that's dry now, it's going to be an Inter's race, isn't it? So do we bring him in, get dry tyres on, try and make up some time? Everybody's going to come in for wets. Or am I... Yeah, okay, so we'll do that. We'll do that. Let's bring K-Mag in. Sorry, K-Mag, that's my fault. I have messed you up there. Let's get on a set of soft tyres. Let's go like hell. And Well, we can just hope, really, can't we? The rain is supposed to come back. It's drying, it's drying. You know what's going to happen, don't you? Is that the second K-Mag comes into the pits, it's going to rain and it's going to be inters again. But it's still drying, it's still drying, it's still drying. We've got a yellow flag in Sector 3. Alonso's overtaken Sargeant. It's still steady at a dry track. In comes K-Mag. I fully expect it to start raining, and there it is. Unbelievable. There's no way for me to change that now, is there? Well, I've outsmarted myself there, haven't I? Now, the issue here is that is K-Mag going to go a lap down? And do we just retire the car? I've tried to be too smart, haven't I? I should have just put him on the inters.
Box.
What an idiot.
Mercedes did it.
I mean, it's almost going to be wet, actually. Okay, maybe we can somewhat salvage this. We'll go back on a wet tire, K-Mag. It's almost had 3 compounds in a. Yeah, I mean the track's wet. And he's on a slick. He is going to go a lap down here. And well, do we bring Sargeant in this lap as well? If this is as wet as it's going to get, if this is as wet, I'm wondering if we don't. But the thing, K-Mag's issue is that you just need to push now, mate. You just need to go deploy. We've got to try and
push as much as you can.
Got it.
Yeah, see, the track is going to start drying. I've just pretty much made every wrong call, haven't I, for K-Mag? It's every time it's been marginal, I've made the wrong decision, and yeah, well, it's somewhat destroyed K-Mag's race. Sargeant is sitting 12th with a time penalty, so it's not been the home race we were hoping for by any stretch. And of course, we know once you go a lap down, you can't really get yourself back on the lead lap. So it's a little bit of a, do we just save the engine here with K-Mag? I think maybe we do, don't we? Just retire the car, man. Yeah, I mean, it's like the golden rule, isn't it? You should be on... Oh, multiple cars have crashed. Now, is this a safety car? It is a safety car. Okay, now... We can... That is going to be wet, but not for... And it's going to get close to dry. My thinking... What's what I'm thinking is that we could potentially serve a penalty under the safety car here. Which is obviously a good thing. So I'm just going to do sort of the sensible thing and just be on the right tyres for now. Stop trying to predict what's going to happen with the weather. Which is what I was doing with K-Mag, obviously. Okay, so safety car is coming in. Lap 29, about to start lap 30. The track is still drying. Let's see what Sargeant can do here. He's got Gasly in front of him. Now, if we look at... oh, then they're all lapped, are they? Okay, so we go to 10th.
You did good, really good.
How have we... I'm not quite sure what's happened there. Everybody's on an inter. Some inters are obviously newer than others. I'm not really understanding why they jumped out of our way, but we'll take that. And we've now got Vettel in front of us. Now, we should be faster than Aston Martin, which would be 9th. And Sargeant could be on for points in his home Grand Prix here. Now, I'm aware that we do have petrol in the tank. We know that, or we suspect it's going to get dry at the end. I want to save that so we can go full push at the end. And hopefully, Sargeant won't go and then crash. But we just kind of have to trust him not to do that. It is raining again. Track is getting wetter, but we're still very much in Inter's territory. And he is tagging along here on the back of Norris and Hamilton and Vettel. Now, I think Norris may have just got past Hamilton, who is apparently struggling. And can we stick one up the inside here? We can. Sargeant overtakes Lewis Hamilton. That's P9. I wonder if Hamilton's got damage or something, because that's very slow for a Mercedes. And now we've got Vettel in front. And we'll see if we go to overtake here, if we can get something done down the back straight. Track conditions have now changed to wet. Now, we were expecting this, weren't we? Now, if that... We don't know where we are on the thing here. That's the problem, isn't it? So we are probably... I mean, there's puddles on the track, aren't we? This is a tough decision to make. How much rain are we expecting? Using my logic, be on the right tyres for now. I think it's a heavy shower of rain. Maybe... Do we come in? I mean, this is very, very slow, isn't it? Oh, no, just get ready to cancel. Is anybody else coming in? We'll sort of follow the leader here, I think. If anybody else comes in, then maybe we do it. If nobody comes in, then maybe we just need to stick out. Or is there an advantage to be had here? We're in the points. We don't need to be... What we don't need to do right now is do anything silly, do we? So let's cancel the stop. Hopefully it's not too late to do that. And just hang it out and hope for the best. So, I mean, this has been a good race so far from Sargeant. Helped by the fact that I didn't stuff him up, calling him into the pits every lap to put a different compounded tyre on. But if he can keep Gasly behind him, given the pace that Gasly has had all weekend, that would be a really, really big effort. But he is catching Vettel rather quickly here. In fact, he's taken a massive chunk out of him. And he may even get him this lap. We've got a yellow flag in Sector 1. A competitor crash. Is this going to be a safety car? Latifi has crashed, so that doesn't really affect anybody. And I'm wondering if this is our lap. Is this the lap that we want to come in for our soft tyre, or do we need to push it one more? He's got... Is that Gasly? No, he's looking to go around the outside of Vettel. And are we close enough? Is the track drying fast enough? I think it is. So we are going to pit this lap. We're going to pit this lap for soft tyres. We've got, what, 17 laps... It's right on the edge. We don't really have a new medium, so we'll have to go with the soft. And hopefully...
Box now, box now.
It's not too early. That might be a lap too early. Now we've got petrol we've been saving. We'll go deploy. We can't really push the tyres, because the tyres are marginal to get to the end of the race from here anyway, and the track is just about to tick over to dry. There we go. Okay. This is now a very, very important lap in the career of Logan Sargeant. Let's just pause that so we don't waste time here. Deploy the tyres. I'm not going to get to the end. We'll hope that he can eke them out as far as possible.
No lift and coast.
I didn't have a choice. It was that or a hard tyre. Maybe we could have gone with the hard tyre. But we'll see what he can do here. If nothing else, maybe he can set a fastest lap. Let's see, 6.5 seconds. Looking at the gap to Sainz there. It's gone to 7. A competitor crash. Now, what we don't really want, Verstappen's in the pits. A safety car, although we need a safety car at some point.
Yellow.
Russell has crashed. Everybody's coming in. Now, it's been a bit of a long yellow, but it's not affected us too badly. Now, where is this going to bring him out? Everybody is now in. Did we stop a lap too early, or did we stop at just the right time to leapfrog ourselves up this field? Let's see. Here we go. How far up can we get? How far up can we get? We're in 8th, 9th, so it's not quite worked. Now, what tyre does everybody else have? Couple of softs, Norris on the hard. So, everybody's going to be in roughly the same boat as us. We needed a medium tyre, though. That's the problem, isn't it? So he's going to go to the end, but he is also slower just now. We've got 10 laps to go. I don't know if these oh, and he's locked up. Is that going to let Guan Yu Zhou pass? Is that going to cost us a points finish, perhaps? Oh, Logan. No, he's managed to get back out and stay in 9th. But 6 seconds is now the gap in front, and it's only 5 seconds behind. 4.9. It is a decent gap, isn't it? So we're racing for 9th, it looks like, unless others are going to come in front of us. And I'm not completely convinced these tyres are going to get to the end either. Alright, let's pit. Stick on a new set of softs. And I don't think there's going to be points in this one for us. I wouldn't say it's been my best race in terms of strategy. We've come out in 13th with 5 or 6 laps to go. We will just be... I mean, we can just full out attack. We don't have to worry about tyres at all at this point. And Logan, if you can give us, what, 4 or 5 qualifying laps, however many there is, you never know. There's cars coming in. Guan Yu Zhou is now 7th. We are 12th. Vettel is a point. Is Vettel attainable? We've got Sainz behind us, which is not great. He's probably... How many pit stops has Sainz made today? As we've locked up into Stroll. And that's going to be another penalty. And that's obviously a little bit disappointing. We've damaged the car as well. Minor damage to the front wing. A 5-second time penalty. So that's more or less race done, isn't it, for Sargeant? He's not going to be able to catch the 10th place and then get 5 seconds as well. So it's not been an American Grand Prix that will live long in the memory. The 5-second penalty, Sargeant has done enough to keep his 12th place. But yeah, anything that could go wrong did go wrong. It's probably my worst race in terms of strategy.
Checkered flag.
We'll move on for Mexico. I'm sorry, K-Mag, alright? I was trying my best. So there we go. Leclerc wins the race from Perez, Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo. McLaren is scoring some big points late in this season, aren't they? Pierre Gasly, unfortunately for us, up there as well. Sargeant up 7th to 12th, and, well, Kevin Magnussen, that was 100% my fault. So we've got Magnussen staying 9th. We've got Sargeant staying 15th in the championship, and the constructors... Well, McLaren is now the team closest behind us. We should still have a big enough gap there. 30 points to Alpine. That doesn't look like it's going to be achievable. We need to catch 10 points per race over the last 3 races to draw level there. But there we go. If you've enjoyed that, make sure you hit thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new. If you want to give me any ideas of how to run a team on a wet race, I'm all ears. That was a disaster. But anyway, no points today. Disastrous home Grand Prix. I'll see you next time in Mexico. Take care.